Our next speaker is a seasoned expert on applied mathematics and machine learning, already making me feel so dumb. He has a long career as a research scientist working at various research institutes and universities. Since moving to consulting in 2016, he has been helping customers to utilize data science in their business. Please welcome onto the stage Petteri Mannersalo.
So it's very nice to be here, and there's a very nice connection between me and Antti, because Antti is the person who lured me in this kind of business. So we were sitting in the swimming pool while our kids were training for swim and discussing what to do next. And Antti was just founding this unit that I'm working at Siili Solutions called Intelligent Automation. And we're thinking, this is a nice opportunity. But I was moving on other company. But after 4 months, I called Antti. Is the offer still valid? And here I am, talking about RPA. And in this talk, I will talk kind of the RPA Plus, which is this intelligent process automation. So if last time Antti was talking about RPA and robot framework, I think this is the next step. It's RPA Plus. We're bringing the intelligence in the dummy digitized processes. So this is a short outline of the talk. So I will first kind of introduce what I mean by IPA, in addition to this well-tasting beer. And then what is the kind of role of the robot framework in this context, and how we can bring this intelligence inside the robot framework platform. There will be some examples of IPA, and in the end I will also introduce our own homemade process automation platform made at Siili. And if we have time, we can then glance few applications of the AI, machine learning, so kind of bring some food for your brains to think about how you can use robot framework in your own home enterprises. So what is intelligent automation? This really relates to the talk by Esko Valtaja in the mornings. Intelligent automation is the process which has been evolving and revolving. And at this time, we are now at this Industry 3 revolution. And everything which can be automated will be automated ultimately. So we are now doing the digitizing of the business processes where robot framework is the good, maybe the best tool. But we are also doing automation in smart traffic, smart cities, smart energy, just say any smart system. And of course, we also mentioned that the industry is getting more and more digitized, automized processes. So Siili Intelligent Automation is doing everything related there. Any automation we are interested, but here we talk about RPA and IPA. So what is intelligent process automation? It's a collection of the technologies that can intelligently manage, automate, and integrate digital processes. So if we say that very roughly, it's kind of robotic process automation enhanced by AI, optimization, machine learning, and analytics. So it's a RPA with brains and steroids. That's really that we are talking about here. So if we need to have intelligence, so what I mean by intelligence, Esko Valtaja was saying that there is no AI, and I agree. We have only smart programs there. And smart programs are made from applied mathematics and statistics. There's computer vision, control theory, expert systems. Maybe the most important from this software process automation point of view are machine learning and natural language processing and generations. But still, we can use operation research, even the real robotics. I don't think that the software robots are the real robots if you're asking the kind of layman. For us, they are as real as they can get. And there can be signal processing. Just mention any science as a technology you can apply in this context. Then, if we're talking about the kind of the basic level RPA, you are usually automating very, very stupid processes. You have, at most, you can have if-then reasoning there. That's the kind of intelligence within the normal RPA. But when you are bringing the intelligence, then you need to start understand what you are doing. You are starting with the data. Usual RPA processes are dealing with the data. You have a binary data, strings or numerical codes. You are moving that from one point to another point. But when you are bringing the intelligence, you need to have the information, which means that you are structuring the data. So you are coupling the data together. But that's not enough. In order to have some intelligence, you need to also have knowledge and wisdom. How you are using that information and what purposes. Because that's really the intelligence there. You have to know how to use your data. It's not just moving one piece of data in this place in your ERP system. That's not intelligent. So it's in this right-hand side, it's written that some of those processes that we are automating are stupid. It's like that riding a bicycle with the square wheels. We can't automate that, but it doesn't make sense. Sometimes we are using wrong tools, and that's also, if you have the kind of application knowledge in your hands, then you can also select the right tools, especially from the intelligent point of view. And then we have the kind of software and platforms. Typically, when we are doing this kind of business process automation, we have the enterprise software and services. It could be SAP, NetSuite, or whatever. We have the cloud platforms and services, Amazon, Azure, Google, just pick one. And then we have those automation software and platforms. For me, Python is a perfect platform for automation. So I would be happy just to use Python, but it's okay. We put on top of the robot framework, we have Jenkins, which is doing the orchestration, and some people want to use those commercial tools, as Antti was mentioning, that those tools that you can just use graphical user interfaces and drag and drop different kind of diagrams. The end result is something that we can discuss, but maybe offline. But however, the ultimate goal for this kind of intelligent process automation is that we have 4 different pieces tied nicely together. We have this enterprise software. We have the integration and orchestration there. The integration can be the old-fashioned system integrations, but we can also integrate using these RPA tools. So it really depends on your needs. You can have both in your platform. And bringing the knowledge, you have the analytics and AI there. So it's really that we are aiming. We are quite far away from that, but that's kind of the ultimate goal, that we have all those 4 different leaves of this flower tied together. And it's not that we are just doing small-scale projects and kind of small tasks, which we are just fixing the broken processes. Unfortunately, for example, Siili, most of our business cases are currently like that. But maybe in future we are doing more business critical, the end-to-end processes. Now, we have the robot framework, and I want to have some intelligence there. How do I do it? There are 2 ways how I can bring it there. The kind of the developer way is to embed that intelligence in the robot framework code. And because we are working on the Python ecosystem, that's simple. It's a Python and machine learning, mathematics, AI. It's a perfect marriage. So you have all those nice tools shown on the right-hand side of the slide. And this is just a snapshot. There are multiple other libraries in your use. Once you have that, you can develop your intelligence as a robot framework library. So it's very nice. So it's an easy way to do. But the problem is there that, say, the basic software robot developer, as Antti was mentioning, doesn't necessarily have the machine learning or data science skills. So this requires that at least 1 or 2 guys in this robot developer team has that kind of knowledge. They don't need to know how to develop the robots, but they have to know how to make those Python libraries to run in the combination of those robot framework functionalities. And especially these kind of solutions are suitable when we have customers who want to have those robots run standalone in their own intranet without proper services. The thing that I'm a little bit more enthusiastic is having the internet services as a microservices. So this is the other way to do it. So if we are implementing microservices or using existing microservices, those can be implemented with arbitrary tools and arbitrary environments. Just the only requirement is that you are defining well-behaving APIs that you can communicate between those microservices. There is a very large selection of the ready-made public cloud services with machine learning functionalities. I have now listed as an example of what Google offers. There's 10 different APIs from vision, text, translation services. But you can, of course, make your own intelligent services using open source libraries. Like if you want to embed in the code, if you can embed the code, you can also make it as a microservice. So both options are available. But what is nice about the microservices, these are more easier to reuse and more easy to scale. Of course, if you are implementing this functionality as a robot framework library, you can share it, you can reuse it. But in a way, I think that this microservice, at least if you have a bigger company, is the right way to do it. So now I have a few examples where people have been implementing and how people have been implementing this kind of intelligent process automation. The one simplest case is that we have the intelligence as a coordinator. As an example, think that we are receiving emails and we have a machine learning model who kind of analyzes the content of the email and decides which RPA process should deal that email. So it could be, for example, that we have some changes in user details. Some emails are asking that delete my account there. And if the machine learning component doesn't understand, then we will pass this problem to the human there. The second way to bring the intelligence is to make an intelligent UI. Chatbots are a very nice example where we can have the intelligent UI for the RPA processes. So if we had, for example, chat channel, we can kind of imitate the normal discussion between the customer and the service. That we are, for example, asking that, can you remove my account? And bot is saying, are you really sure that you want to remove that account? And if you get the positive acknowledgement, then we are triggering those RPA processes which are taking care about these account deletions. It could be also part of this RPA process consisting of different tasks. This is a very typical example that we have scanned documents like invoices. Then the RPA task first extracts the documents from some database. Then we have this intelligent part, which is doing the analysis of those images. First doing the OCR, meaning that we get the textual output. And then we have this analysis of the text. So we can, for example, find out what was the amount of the bill, what is the tax, and in which account we will kind of designate these bills. And then this next RPA task will put that information in your company's ERP system. This is kind of the sea of possibilities. Automation is an enabler for intelligent services. So in a way, it doesn't matter what automation we have here. Here's an example that how we can do the dynamic pricing. We have some RPA process who is extracting information from different kind of data sources, like what are the prices of the competitors, some internal pricing rules. We have some external features like weather or traffic status. And all that information is fed to that intelligent model, which then kind of calculates the optimal dynamic prices for different products. And for example, here is an example of the Finavia parking lot, which is currently now using dynamic pricing to kind of determine what is the price of your car stay in those parking halls. And the final example is the resource management. This is while we have the open source RPA, we don't need to care about how many processes we are running. So we can really optimize based on the demand, how many robots or how many tasks, how many workloads we are launching. So we can put the intelligence, which is monitoring what happens in stage 1 and stage 2. So if if the data retrieval is faster process, maybe 2 robots is enough. But when we are processing the data, maybe it's better to have 4 or 5 or 6 workers there. And we can do that dynamically. We can kind of collect the information, what has happened in the past, so we can even estimate how long each of the tasks will take time in the future. So we can bring different kind of intelligence in this resource management model if we want. So this is kind of a summary that I was saying, that those 5 first items were already discussed. Then, for example, those commercial RPA companies are also marketing that they have this learning, analyzing, and optimizing the processes to be automated. I think that's still somewhere quite far of future. It's a nice idea, but in practice, I haven't seen any functioning solutions there. Or the 7th topic, how can you adapt to the changes in the UI, while, for example, learning in the test or sandbox environment. I think in most cases, the practical solution is let the developer make the changes in 15 minutes instead of having some simulations running in the background hours and hours. But those might be coming sometime. So then I promised to show how we are doing these things at Siili Solutions. So this is something that Antti was part when we started to develop it, and it has been evolving quite a lot. So we have our own robotics as a service platform where we have Orchestrator, which is taking care about those robot tasks and robot libraries. So we are storing all those tasks and libraries in task object storage. And the Orchestrator is kind of taking care that which tasks are run and which order, and then we are launching those robots. Everything is then kind of recorded. We have the dashboards where we can see how those processes are running. And kind of regarding this intelligent process automation, while we are working at the Amazon cloud, we can either use Amazon microservices if we want, or we can implement our own intelligent services there without any big problems. We have then, if we have a customer, as always we should have a customer, the connection between the customer and our this robotics as a service setup is done through the secure connections. Typically it's a VPN, it could be also SSH-based connections. But really that this kind of, if we are doing this is quite similar that the guys at RoboCorp are doing. So it's our own homemade thing. Maybe the Antti's, his colleagues are doing kind of more ready-made, but this is kind of the starting point we are also using for our customers. Maybe this is not that interesting, but just mention that we have also thought about how the security and release process are done properly so that the customers are staying, they are happy how things are done. No, everything has been thought about quite carefully that no kind of precious data is escaping from our systems and processes. So I promised that I can show few kind of ideas what kind of intelligence can be brought in these software process automations. So I will go very quickly through those different kind of ideas. This document and text analysis is already there. So many of the existing IPA processes are using document and text analysis. We can do the OCR, which already mentioned. We can, for example, recognize layout and structures, and we can analyze using the natural language processing and generation the textual data. We can do also the image analysis. It's not a big problem, so we can use all the already existing services or make them ourselves. Decision making, there are dozens of different applications of decision making. We can, as already mentioned, we can coordinate and manage the resources of those RPA processes themselves, but we can also bring the intelligent decision making part of the kind of the business process. It could be banking, making the decisions of the credit granting, insurance, or it could be HR selection, kind of initial candidate selection, for example, finance. There's a big demand for invoice routing and accounting automation in different companies. So this is a really big thing that there are also commercial companies who are working with that topic, and many other topics. Then we have the data and context-based analysis. So when you are dealing with the data, finding out whether there's inconsistencies, anomalies, so it's very important. And there are lots of possibilities that we can utilize AI, machine learning in that context. It's also mentioned that this natural language generation, so we can utilize chatbots or generate ourselves intelligent reports using these tools. Optimization, that's also kind of the options in that area are limitless. So we have workforce management, dynamic pricing was already mentioned, logistic optimization, and of course the process optimization was also discussed. IoT systems is kind of one business area. We were talking about smart industry, smart cities, smart healthcare. That's really the IoT ecosystem. And there are lots of things that we can utilize. Process automation, and especially the intelligent process automation. So I think this is good time to stop. So this is that you already know, the well-tasting beer, but I think this is something that in the evening we can discuss next to the beer of bottle more details. Or if you have any questions, please free to ask.
So, questions there in the front row. No need to pass and break that.
Hi. You mentioned security and you mentioned that all your data are safe. How do you secure confidential data like credentials in your robot files?
This account Jenkins is taking care about those secrets per user. And then I think we should ask our architects who is somewhere sitting behind there, because I'm not the kind of architecture design. That's the reason that I was skipping that slide very quickly. So I can bring you with our architect, I can tell, but I know that it has been thought carefully. Jenkins is kind of keeping those secrets, and how you are putting those secrets when you are moving those robots, for example, in the customer premises. Of course, we had the secret transportation protocols, everything that, but more details, you have to ask our architect.
Anyone?
Just one.
I'll just play it
Safe.
Well, thank you for the talk. Is there any way we can follow or see more of this kind of work so we can learn more?
Meaning what?
So this is a very interesting perspective. So if I want to follow or learn more about this, is there any way like Twitter or follow your work where we can see it later on?
I haven't seen that much kind of open channels. I'm not, for those commercial RPA providers. They are organizing conferences, for example, UEPITE. They are taking this quite seriously, this kind of intelligent process automation. But I haven't seen any kind of open source discussion on that topic. Because, of course, these are two different things. That we have this machine learning, AI stuff. There's lots of discussion. And most of these solutions can be moved directly to in this context. Because being kind of mathematician as a background, I don't really care where those solutions are run. If I'm putting them as a microservice, then I'm defining the well-defined API, and that's it, it's fine. Then it could be Robot Framework who is using that, but it could be somebody else also.
Okay, thank you.
Time to thank Petteri,